Welcome to our DrivenCRM tutorial on sales order processing, serialized inventory, and QuickBooks Online.
We'll start by logging into the CRM using your assigned user credentials. In the CRM, the process usually starts with proposals that eventually turn into orders. However, your CRM may also be importing orders directly from your e-commerce site such as Shopify or Magento. From your CRM dashboard, you can view your master price list using the top left hamburger menu and select Item List Maintenance from the menu selection. From here, we can see all of our item list, the current stock levels, and also current pricing. This item list is automatically linked with QuickBooks Online, so as a salesperson or fulfillment specialist, you have access to your current stock levels. To add a new part number, which goes both into the CRM and QuickBooks, use the top left hamburger menu and select the Create New Item option. At the top, you'll choose if the item is inventory, non-inventory, or service. The CRM offers the same basic fields related to accounting, but it expands on those in the CRM by offering many extended fields like categories and much more. However, for this simple example, we'll just enter a part number, description, and price. Remember in the CRM to always use the green checkmark at the top right to save, or the red X next to it to cancel. Once we have saved, the CRM creates the item in both the CRM and QuickBooks and displays all the extra CRM-related fields you can set for the part. These are optional, so we'll just use the green checkmark to finish the setup for this example. Now when I switch back over to QuickBooks Online, I'll access the Products and Services section to demonstrate the new part has automatically been created in QuickBooks. The primary fields that are accounting-related are filled in and ready to go. You can repeat this process as needed to build your item list. Of course, whatever part numbers you already had in QuickBooks come into the CRM automatically during setup. But we recommend you use the CRM item maintenance to add or edit parts as you need on a daily basis. When you select a part from the list, the CRM displays several helpful options at the bottom related to the setup, usage, and history of the selected item. This gives you a good overview of how to maintain items you sell in both the CRM and QuickBooks. Let's return to the main dashboard. I'm going to use the add icon shown here to create a new dashboard workspace to display order-related information. Remember that dashboards can be grouped, and I'll use the group I already created for order processing, or you would use the Add New option to create the group. Remember I mentioned that many orders start with a proposal, so I'll create my first dashboard tab that shows what active proposals I have in the CRM. I'll then use the green checkmark to finish creating the dashboard tab. Next, I'll need to tell the CRM what information I want to display in the tab. I'll select the eyeball icon to configure my workspace. Look for the category at the top called Proposals/Sales Quotations and select it to display the proposal-related options. The option that we'll select is called Active Proposals. I'll take a second to mention that proposals in the CRM do not transfer to QuickBooks. Only when they have converted into an invoice will they transfer, which I will demonstrate later. For now, I will start by creating a brand new customer and proposal. Using the top left hamburger menu from the dashboard, I'll use the Create New Customer option to begin the process. I'll select Customer as the CRM category and enter all of the contact-related information. Once I have saved this in the CRM, it will also be created in QuickBooks in case accounting needs to adjust it, even though there won't be any financial activity just yet. Since we'll be using the information to create a proposal, start by entering the billing address and contact information in the step, and be sure to be as detailed as possible since this information will be shared with QuickBooks. Use the green checkmark at the top right to finish creating the account, and the CRM will display the assigned account number and contact profile screen. From this area, we'll use the top left hamburger menu, and we'll look for the option to create a new proposal/sales order, and we'll select it. In the CRM, we assign a document number to the proposal immediately, which is not only the proposal number, but will eventually be the invoice number as well. This is important because in the CRM, the difference between a proposal and a sales order is really just the status setting of the order, which you see at the top left of the screen labeled Start as a quotation/proposal. So for this example, we'll check all of our settings and use the green checkmark to create our new proposal. You'll see our proposal has been assigned the next sequence number, 200168. This will eventually be the invoice number in QuickBooks as well. But the logical next step for our proposal is to add line items from our item list shown earlier. You can search and select the appropriate items to add to the proposal, adjust quantity and pricing, edit descriptions, and so forth. You'll notice the CRM shows you current stock levels available under each item in the item search. Here we can see we have 2 of our serialized item available, but we're going to quote out a quantity of 10 for this example. Once your proposal is ready, the next step would normally be to generate the PDF and send it. But we're just going to use the green checkmark to save this proposal. What's important to note at this step is that nothing has transferred to QuickBooks at this time, since no financial transaction has yet been generated. Also, the CRM has not allocated any of the selected items to the order, because it is only a proposal at this time. When proposals are advanced to sales order status, the on-sales order numbers in the item list are updated so you always know how many items are allocated on orders, but have not yet shipped. Next, let's create another dashboard workspace that displays our active sales orders that have not yet shipped and completed. Repeating the same process as before, we'll create our new workspace and assign it to our order processing group. For this dashboard panel, we'll configure it using the category of sales order processing. So at the top, look for and select the sales order processing category, and at the bottom look for and select the active sales order selection. Now when our dashboard refreshes, we can see a list of our current active sales orders. This list would also automatically include any orders coming in from your e-commerce feed like Shopify or Magento. We'll use the visible columns option on our dashboard grid to add a few more helpful fields to our grid. Remember, all of this is a one-time process to set up your dashboard, and the CRM will always remember this every time you log back in again. All right, now let's say our potential customer has reached out and is ready to purchase the proposal. The easiest way to access it is to search for the customer name or proposal number using the global search option at the top of the dashboard. When we search for the name, the CRM will also display a list of open proposals directly under the name for even easier access to open proposals. We'll select our open proposal to start the process. Because our proposal is not yet a committed order, there is an order conversion icon displayed in the top toolbar. You could also use the hamburger menu and select the confirmed order conversion there. Although it isn't obviously evident, many things have now happened behind the scenes. The CRM has updated the inventory numbers to reflect the quantities now committed, but not yet shipped. So if we switched back to our item maintenance tab, we can see our sales order committed numbers are now updated. I've kept this item maintenance grid relatively simple, but there are many additional fields you can choose to display using the visible columns option. One of the most useful fields for us is called Available. It will show us our stock quantity and subtract our order committed quantity totals. This is a great indicator that a purchase order is needed. Now we can see that our net available amount is negative since our committed orders are greater than our available levels. So now we'll use that information to create a purchase order directly from within our sales order. To do that, we'll use the hamburger menu in our sales order and select New Linked Record, and then Create Purchase Order. A screen will display allowing us to choose our vendor, the processing mode, and whether we want to drop ship. The default processing mode of a single document will create one purchase order with all our selected items. You can also choose to break each item into a separate PO as shown here. The dropship option will copy the customer's shipping address to the purchase order. You can select one or more items to create the purchase order and use the green checkmark to save. I'm going to generate a single PO, but you could repeat these steps within the screen to generate as many separate POs as needed. When the screen refreshes, a button at the top will display the generated PO number and a link to directly access the PO for sending. You can now make any necessary edits to the purchase order before sending it to the vendor. For example, if you'd like to bump up the quantity ordered so you have extra on hand. The red background behind the cost indicates that this vendor cost has not been updated within the last 30 days, and you should double-check with the vendor. You can then simply type in the updated cost, and the column will turn to green indicating that it has been verified. You can also click the link for the part number and manually indicate it that the vendor cost has been verified for the item. You'll notice I clicked the option to mark the purchase order as committed, and I'll now use the PDF print and email options to send the PO off to the vendor. I'll take a moment here to discuss what is happening on the QuickBooks side. Since we marked our purchase order as committed, it will automatically be transmitted to QuickBooks in the background as an open purchase order. However, since we have not shipped any of our sales order items yet to the customer, there will not yet be an invoice for the order in QuickBooks. That part will be coming later. It's a good idea when sending the PO to the vendor to use the CRM follow-up function to set a reminder for yourself to follow up on the PO later. This way you can verify it has shipped and confirm expected delivery. It's also important to note now that we haven't received the purchase order items yet. That part is coming up soon. Once the email has been sent, we'll use the green checkmark within the PO to save our changes and exit. Now when we return to our Item Maintenance tab and refresh, we'll see that our item maintenance has now been updated with our pending purchase order totals. We can now see at a glance that when our purchase order is received, there will be plenty of stock to fulfill our pending sales orders. Let's now return to our sales order that is still displaying the screen we used to create the purchase order. We'll use the red X to close the screen and return to the sales order. What you'll now see is that under each item on the sales order is the purchase order number and a link related to the line item, which is your indication that we have created a pending purchase order. Let's take a quick moment and go check out QuickBooks OnLine. This will demonstrate that, in the background, our purchase order was automatically transferred from the CRM. If necessary, the CRM will automatically create the vendor, create the items, and anything else needed to ensure a smooth transfer without needing any input from the CRM user. You'll also notice that the numbering sequence in QuickBooks is automatically the same as the CRM, and the items, quantities, and costs are all as expected. We haven't yet received these items from the vendors as QuickBooks indicates. To receive the items, we'll return to the CRM purchase order and activate the receiving function. But before we do that, let's return to our CRM dashboard and add a new workspace that displays our open purchase orders. Using the same procedure we performed previously, we'll create a single panel workspace called Open Purchase Orders and use the green checkmark to save. From our newly created workspace, select the eye icon to finish up the configuration. We'll select the category called Purchase Order Processing. From the options below, we'll select Open Purchase Orders to add the grid to our workspace. Our new workspace is ready to go and contains a list of open purchase orders and the current processing status of each. You can also use the global search at the top of the dashboard to find a purchase order easily by simply typing in the number. We'll select the PO we previously created so we can begin the receiving of the items from the vendor. Using the top left hamburger menu, choose the option in the list to begin the item receiving process. If you have a barcode-enabled device, you can simply scan the part number of the item, or you can touch the Receive All button. You'll notice that one of our items has serial number tracking enabled. The CRM will require you to scan or enter the serial numbers off of the received items to continue. You can specify the warehouse bin location where the items will be placed, and if their serial numbers are sequential, you can enter a prefix and a suffix that matches all of the items. If the serial numbers actually are sequential, you can simply enter a plus symbol after the first number to have the CRM calculate the serial number sequence for you, or you can scan them individually into this receiving box. Now we can see we have our correct number of serial numbers entered, so we're ready to go. The last step is to enter any desired information from the packing list received from the vendor, such as how the material came in, the tracking number, and the vendor invoice. This information is optional, but will be transmitted to QuickBooks if it is specified. We'll then use the green checkmark to finalize our item receipts and finish up. We can now see our purchase order indicates everything is received, so our final step is to place the purchase order into history. When placed into history, an item will no longer appear on our dashboard, but will still be visible from the vendor profile. The CRM will also send the matching item receipts for our purchase order to QuickBooks and fully receive it in the background for you. Now, as we return to our refreshed item maintenance, we can now see that the on-hand totals have been updated, and we have plenty of available stock to fulfill our pending customer order with even a little bit left over. I'll do a quick switch over to our QuickBooks Online to take a look at the purchase order we just processed. Because the CRM is constantly updating QuickBooks, there is almost never a need to directly enter anything in QuickBooks. Instead, CRM users will use the receiving and shipping functions with the knowledge that the necessary information is transferring to accounting as needed. The CRM can also handle partial receiving and partial shipping. The document number will stay the same between the two systems. The CRM will simply add a -1, -2, and so forth to the end of the number in QuickBooks, so they'll all remain linked together. Moving on, the hamburger menu has an option to save and leave open so we know our current work has been saved and the screen refreshes. We can now see our available inventory in the order, and the green icon next to the quantity indicates sufficient quantities to ship, so let's go ahead and ship the order. Using the hamburger menu, look for the option Pack and Ship and select it. You'll notice our shipping screen looks very similar to PO receiving, and it functions similarly as well. Of course, in this case, we'll create an outgoing shipment to the customer. At the top is optional header information for the shipment. You'll then select the individual items and quantities you are shipping from the unshipped items list towards the top. Because we have the serialized item on our order, the CRM requires us to choose the serial numbers we're shipping to the customer. Like before, if serial numbers are in sequence, you can enter a prefix, a suffix, or choose from the available serial number list at the bottom. We can also use the same trick of adding a plus sign to the end of our first serial number, which tells the CRM that the remaining serial numbers are sequential. We now have our serial numbers entered, and we're ready to finalize the shipment by using the green checkmark at the top right of the screen. Because I have shipping labels enabled in the CRM, I am prompted to choose the shipping carrier for this shipment from our supported carriers. This error indicates I haven't chosen a warehouse I am shipping from, which is an easy fix by selecting it from the list, and also making sure that all of the addresses on the screen are correct. The CRM will then auto-calculate the approximate packages and weight and display a list of carrier options to choose from. Now that we have finalized our shipment, the CRM creates an invoice record automatically in QuickBooks. Let's navigate to our customer, and we'll see the invoice has been transferred from our shipment and is ready for standard processing and accounting. The CRM will take care of automatically adding the customer, items, and any other information necessary in the background to ensure a smooth transfer. Remember that our document numbers between the CRM are the same as well, so this invoice 200168 is the same number you'll find in the CRM. Additional partial shipments on the same order will add a -1, -2, and so forth. There are a couple of additional dashboards I'll recommend to optimize order processing. I'll add a new dashboard workspace and break it into a 2-panel section, and I'll name the new workspace Inventory Analysis. I recommend this workspace because the CRM has pre-built grids showing orders that are out of stock versus orders that have sufficient inventory to ship out. For the top workspace, choose the category of Sales Order Processing and look for the option Unshipped Out of Stock Orders, Backorder, and select it to add it to the workspace. You can now see that the top panel of our workspace will conveniently populate with orders that come into the CRM but don't have sufficient inventory. For our bottom panel, we'll repeat the process, use the same category at the top, but this time we'll choose the option for Unshipped in Stock Orders. We'll select it to add it to the bottom panel of our Workspace tab. Now that our workspace refreshes, we have a single workspace for both types of orders. Let's create an example order for an item that does not have sufficient inventory so we can run through the process. I'll choose a quick example customer and breeze through the initial order header fields, leaving the populated defaults. From our new blank order, I'll use the part number search drop-down and look for an item where the system indicates we do not have any stock, and I'll select the item to add it to the order. Remember that the document starts out as an unconfirmed proposal, so I'll use the quick confirmation icon at the top to mark it as a confirmed order and reserve the stock. I'll use the green checkmark to save and exit our new confirmed order. Now as I return to our dashboard and refresh, I'll see our new order is correctly listed in our top grid. I'll use the visible columns of the grid to add a couple of really useful columns to our order grid. I'm going to look for the columns that indicate how many purchase orders are linked to the order, and while I'm in here, I'll also add the column that indicates how many work orders have been linked to the order as well. Now I can see at a glance that our unshipped out-of-stock order has 0 purchase orders, which is my indication that I need to create a purchase order to replenish the stock. I'll repeat the process we did earlier and use the hamburger menu to create a purchase order directly from this customer order. I'll quickly run through the screens and select the item I want to buy from the vendor, choosing the vendor for the purchase and use the green checkmark to finish creating the purchase order. Next, I'll use the button listing the new PO number to quickly access the purchase order. I'll use the hamburger menu in the PO to mark it as a confirmed PO. Then the hamburger menu again to enter PO receiving mode, and I'll quickly mark the item as fully received. Then the hamburger menu one last time to push the PO into history and send it to QuickBooks. I have now been returned to our customer order and we're done creating any linked purchase orders, so I'll close the function using the red X to return to the order contents. A quick check shows me we now have sufficient stock to ship, so I'll just save the order at this time to return to the dashboard. A quick refresh of the dashboard now moves our order into the section indicating that we have unshipped in-stock orders ready to go. There are several automation options within the CRM for warehouse, barcode, and printed packing lists you can ask us about. These are useful when using the CRM Shipping Center, which is an automated area designed for the warehouse that is shipping many orders. This area is optimized for mobile scanners with barcode picking and packing functions. This all allows the warehouse to fulfill orders quickly. I'll go ahead and enter our pending order number as if I had scanned the barcode, and we'll select the order to being processing. I'll then quickly run through the fulfillment steps on the order to complete it. Again, since we have label generation enabled, the warehouse can generate the shipping label by simply selecting the desired carrier and shipping method, finish entering the package dimensions and weights, and a few other options. Once all the options are entered and the green checkmark is used to save, the PDF label is generated, printed, and automatically attached to the order on the back end. The warehouse screen then returns to the order processing window where either another package can be shipped for the order, or another order can be selected to begin processing. I haven't shown the receiving center option, but it works in similar manner for automated warehouse receiving. Now as I return to our dashboard and refresh, our order has completed processing. Up until now, we've discussed detailed fulfillment. However, the CRM has the ability to generate a quick order and send it directly to QuickBooks without going through all of the various fulfillment steps. We'll start from the hamburger menu in the CRM dashboard and select New Proposal/Order, and I'll choose an existing customer from the list. The difference now is we're going to tell the CRM to start this as a final invoice instead of starting it as a proposal. As long as we don't need the functionality of partial shipments or serialized inventory, we can simply enter a quick invoice. I'll select an item from the parts list that has sufficient stock and does not require serialized item entry to add to the order. I'm also going to apply a payment to the order so that it will be fully paid when it transfers over to QuickBooks. Use the payment icon at the top to access the payment screen, where either manual payment entry such as paper check or automated payments such as credit card processing can be performed for the order. And that's it. Our order is ready for transfer to QuickBooks without any unnecessary processing steps. I'll switch over to our QuickBooks instance and we'll do a quick customer search to find our customer entry. The customer I selected was John Smith, so we'll access his customer profile in QuickBooks and look for our newly transferred invoice. Again, it is easy because our numbering system in the CRM and QuickBooks are the same, so I can see our new $100 invoice in QuickBooks, and I'll also check that it should be fully paid with our $100 cash payment. Again, as before, if the CRM needed to add John Smith as a customer, add the part numbers or other related information into QuickBooks, it would do so in the background without requiring any input from the CRM user. Now back to the CRM, there are two more functions related to order processing I will review with you. The first function is labeled work orders. Work orders in the CRM are used for tracking and scheduling internal labor related to a customer or order. I'll start by creating a new workspace so we can track what open work orders are pending in the CRM. I'll add a grid to our workspace that displays the active orders we are currently processing, and I'll use the visible columns function to display the column that tells me if a work order has been linked to our customer order. Look for and select the column titled Open Work Order Count. I can see that this existing order does not yet have an assigned work order, so I'll select the order to begin the process of creating a new assigned work order. As we did before, we'll use the hamburger menu of the order, and we'll select the Create Work Order option from the list. You'll either choose to leave the work order unassigned, or you can directly assign the CRM user. You can then select which line items from the customer order will be linked to the new work order. Use the green checkmark to save, and the new work order will be instantly created and accessible from the button at the top of the screen. Work orders linked to customer orders are especially useful when internal work needs to be performed and tracked related to the order, such as assembly builds, item preparation, field service, and so forth. Now that we have created our work order and returned to the order screen, we can quickly see by each line item what related documents are open and linked to each line item on the order. Sometimes orders need to be scheduled, such as for delivery or internal work that needs to be performed. Using the same linking technique, we can access the hamburger menu and select the Create New Appointment option. Simply select the CRM user, date and time and other options, and use the green checkmark to save the appointment to the calendar. Once the order updates, we can see we have our appointment scheduled in the related items at the bottom of the order. So that we can tell which of our open orders have appointments set, we can just easily access visible columns on our dashboard grid and add the next appointment field. This way, at a quick glance, we can tell that our open order has a work order created for it and has been added to the schedule, so nothing more to do here for now. This completes our tutorial on DrivenCRM order processing and all of the related CRM tools available to you. Happy order processing!
For more helpful videos, visit our website at www.notia.com.